Hello, Nerd News listeners, and welcome to our very first video game review. I am your special correspondent, Ryan LaPlante. We're here with special correspondent, Borovic.
Hi.
And we are here to talk about Silent Hill 2, which we are approximately halfway through playing. We think we're not sure how much is going on.
It's a guesstimation, I
we're
would
more
say.
than 12 hours in.
Yes.
We are going to do a quick, brief, no spoiler part of this.
Yes.
And then we will shift to spoilers, and we will say when that happens.
Yeah.
But we're playing Silent Hill 2 2024, to be specific. This is the remake by Bluebird Studios.
Bluebird Studios, you got it in one. You did it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Dale, you know way more about the history of this version of the game, the remake, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How did this happen? What is Silent Hill in general?
Yeah. Stuff's nuts. I would say Silent Hill 2, the original game, is one of my favorite games of all time.
Okay.
So the Silent Hill series overall is great if you're into survival horror. It's psychological horror. There's a lot of extra spoopy doopy stuff going on in there.
Okay.
Silent Hill 2 is one of my all-time favorites. The original came out in 2001, developed by Team Silent, who is a group in Konami.
So they were a part of Konami Studios. Konami has made other games. For people who don't know, what other games has Konami made? Do you have any examples? Because I know Konami is a name I recognize, but I am not a video game person.
I'm gonna before I tell you lies, I'm just gonna look up.
For any listeners out there, we want to be fully clear on who knows stuff about Silent Hill and who does not. Del knows Silent Hill. I know nothing whatsoever.
That's true. So Konami's made a bunch of games. They made Castlevania, they made the Metal Gear series, all the Silent Hills, Suikoden. I would say probably.
So they got range
Metal
as a
Gear
studio.
Solid. Yeah. So the crazy thing, I guess, about Konami in general is just that they're a very family-owned business, and so they make a lot of decisions that the fans see as insane. Because, let's be real.
Because it's Succession?
You can ask Tyler about the Metal Gear series and how they
I've heard
went
about
on
some
with
Hideo
that.
things.
So Silent Hill series has been big. Obviously, there was an American movie that was made after it, a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
The IP was super huge, and for a long time, Konami made a bunch of Silent Hill games. They did well with the fan base, and then Konami was like, nah, we're not going to make any more with that IP, and just sat on it.
Like they did with Metal Gear.
Yes.
Okay.
Because they decided it was more profitable to make pachinko games, because it makes more money than making video games. So they are basically,
Tough to argue with.
They're basically, at this point, rarely making video games. They kind of farm it out to other groups, which is how Bloober basically got the IP allowance from Konami to make a new Silent Hill game. Because a couple of years ago, they had a big Konami showcase and said they were going to do a bunch of new Silent Hill games.
Konami said that or Bloober said that?
Konami said that.
So they were like, there's going to be new Silent Hill,
Yes.
and this Bloober one is the first one, and it's a remake of Silent... No, there was more.
There was more. There was another one that was like a streaming Silent Hill game. Hold on.
Okay.
I will also look this up.
We do a lot of research here at Nerd News, which is why you're seeing us do it live on air.
So Silent Hill Ascension was a multiplayer interactive series that streamed weekly.
Oh, I think I heard about this. Wasn't this a bit of a hot mess?
Yes, that's the point.
Okay.
So this is the thing, is that Konami sat on Silent Hill forever, barely did anything with it.
Yep.
Did a bunch of remakes of the first game. There was a Wii version of the first game.
Okay.
Remakes. So they kind of just spun their wheels and kept remaking stuff and giving random companies the Silent Hill IP.
It's like you have a turn.
Yeah. Everybody gets a turn, random.
If you make a bunch of money, great, but no one did.
No one did. So they're like, whatever, we sit on this IP. And then randomly, out of nowhere, because the last huge thing was PT, which was going to be a Silent Hill made by Kojima, which that all got trashed as well, and is like...
Yep, there's a strong argument that the opening of Metal Gear Solid 5 is actually a lot of the Silent Hill vibes that Kojima would have used in Silent Hill, but did not happen.
There's all kinds of weird hubbub, but basically PT, which, hold on, here we go, Ryan. When was that?
I know a little bit about PT. Can we find out if I'm right or not? I want to find out.
Yeah.
PT was Kojima. It was a sample of the experience he was going to have. Was it VR?
It was not VR.
It was not VR, but it was only released on the system, and then it went away afterwards. So it was only people who downloaded it during that window who still have PT.
That's exactly right.
And
I do have a PlayStation
you are
4
one of the people
with
who
PT
has
on
PT.
it still, yes. But PT came out in 2014.
Okay.
And PT stood for playable teaser. So it was the teaser for Silent Hills that
with
had,
because it was 2014,
with an S, but because it was going to have
multiple hills.
It was going to have Daryl Dixon. What's the actor's name?
Oh,
I'm putting you on the spot. I don't remember
no.
actors' names.
Norman Reedus. Norman Reedus is Daryl
yes.
Dixon. He was also in Boondock Saints and a couple other things.
Exactly. So he was going to be the main
Before
character.
Death Stranding, he was going to do...
Correct. And so when Kojima left Konami, he took Norman Reedus with him and made Death Stranding. Okay. So that happened right after PT. So really the last, as far as I know, the very last Silent Hill game was PT in 2014. And then Konami has just been sitting on it.
And it was a break until Bloober came along.
Until they gave one
like,
to that interactive live
they
one.
did the stream, but we're ignoring that.
Yeah, because
we're talking about Bloober.
It ate shit. So then they said Bloober is going to do a new Silent Hill.
It's Bloobin time.
It's Bloobin time. And everyone was extremely split on the discourse of this because Bloober does make good psychological horror stuff.
Okay.
But some people don't like the way that Bloober makes it because some of them are little like walkthrough games. They're not so much.
There's not a high degree of interactivity.
Correct.
It just happens.
It's like a haunted house game where you get to walk through and find what it wants you to look at and maybe do a couple little puzzles. But in general, the polish of their games is very high, I would say. So people were like, uh-oh, what is Bloober going to do? Is Bloober going to also shit the bed like the Silent Hill Ascension?
Mm-hmm. Or is Bloober going to... Is it Bloobin time? I really want to know.
Or is it Bloobin time?
How much Bloobin are we going to do in this game? Have you played other Bloober games?
Yes. So Layers of Fear was their big standout. They also did a Layers of Fear 2, and they also did a third game that was about an actor on a ship or something like that. But the original Layers of Fear, I think, is beautiful. The art direction is great. It's what put Bloober on the map generally.
Okay.
It's a spooky horror game. A psychological horror about an artist who goes insane, basically.
Are there particular playthrough elements you would expect from a Bloober game? Do they have a standard, like, that's Bloobin, anything else, no bloobs?
I would say a good bit of Bloober stuff has to do with shifting perspectives. Like walking through a room, turning around and it looking different, or like walking in and looking down and the whole world looking different, or walking through a weird puzzle maze that things change as they go on.
Have they done combat-y games? Because I know that's a Silent Hill thing.
Not as far as I know.
Okay, so this is their first foray into some new styles of gameplay.
Yes.
Have they done third-person before, or were the other games first-person?
Those other games were all first-person also. So this is a big lift for Bloober. This is a big departure from what they've done.
High risk.
I think they did the Medium, which I think the Medium might be third player. They did a Blair Witch game. They've done a ton of stuff. But Layers of Fear was like their OG on the map.
And this is probably their biggest IP leap into games.
I would say, yeah, unless you consider Blair Witch a big IP, but
it's
not
a big
in the
IP,
same
but
way.
it's not a video game IP.
Right.
Also, I don't know if a lot of people were clamoring for the Blair Witch IP.
No.
I know people were like, if you don't give me Blair Witch on my PC right now,
Oh yeah,
I'm going to throw this out the window.
The horror classic.
People weren't knocking down Bloober Studios' door being like, where's the witch?
Yeah.
Blair me.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Silent Hill 2 came out in 2001, and it was for the PlayStation 2. Then was remade as part of the Silent Hill HD collection in 2012.
So they just up-res the same game, I assume?
Yes, and that came out on PS3 and Xbox 360.
Okay.
And so that's where the classic Welcome to Silent Hill sign in Comic Sans was because of the HD remake, where they couldn't have all the original assets and they just had to quickly remake them. And it's a standout thing, that sign in Comic Sans.
Okay.
So this, I guess you would say, is like the HD 4K
so
HD remake.
But this is a remake, whereas the previous one was essentially an up-res.
Yes, it was a remaster. Yes.
They made it HD, but this is a totally theoretically new. I mean, I don't know that much about it. So,
but it's crazy because it's basically been 10 years since the Silent Hill in general was touched, but since 2012, since this game has come back again.
And you've had a ton of experience with Silent Hill.
Yeah.
I've never played Silent Hill. I think we should throw some quick ratings out for people who don't want any spoilers as well.
Yes.
And then we can dive into what the hell is going on.
Absolutely.
Do you think people should play this game? Do you think it is worth the price tag to buy this game and play it?
It's going to be a tough one for me to say without emotional attachment, because it's super nostalgic. Yeah, it's super nostalgic for me. I came in being like, maybe poo-poo, maybe I won't even play it. And then Ryan was like, no, we should get it and play it. Mm-hmm. And I'm so happy with it. So I'm like, if you have any interest in Silent Hill or even going through the story of this game, I think it's totally worth it.
Yeah, I would say as somebody who's never played Silent Hill before,
Yeah.
coming in totally cold, I think if you look at the trailer and you look at the material and you're like, there's going to be a foggy town full of monsters.
Yep.
There's going to be a lady named Maria is all I knew from the homepage.
That's true.
You are some guy. Mm-hmm. Having gone through this ride, there's a lot of puzzles if you're into it. Like, I'm having a delightful time.
Good.
If you are looking for a linear, tightly wound plot, just like a well-constructed thriller where you try to put it all together and it's there, this is not that game.
That's not for you.
If you're looking for walking through haunted hallways, knocking down stuff made of legs, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
And I am team, let's take that legs. I'm team take that legs.
Yes, 100%.
But no, I'm having a delightful time.
Good.
On a 0 to 10, how would you rate Silent Hill 2 as a Silent Hill game?
Yeah.
And then as just a generic game overall?
I would say as a Silent Hill game, I'd say it's a 8 or 9 out of 10. They did a great job. And a game overall, I got to wait until we finish it. I feel like if they stick the landing or not will determine where my full numbers lie.
Yeah, when we do our completed Silent
Yes.
Hill rating, we are noting we can change these numbers.
Yeah. And so I'd say it's good 7 out of 10 for a game at all. I'm having
Great.
a great time with it all the way around.
I am going to give this, as a Silent Hill game, I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10.
That's true. Yeah.
Because this
It's
is
your
the only
first
Silent
one.
experience
Yeah.
it has.
It's a
I'm like,
Silent Hill out of Silent Hill.
they say Silent Hill a lot.
That's true.
It seems like Silent Hill. I've watched the Silent Hill movie.
Yep.
Because you got me to watch it.
Yeah, I made him watch it
unrelated
too.
to this.
Yes.
And it seems very appropriate to the movie.
It has the same vibes. Very Silent Hill vibes.
If this is what Silent Hill vibes are, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Every other Silent Hill may not match this, and then they're wrong. Because
That's
this is
true.
Silent
That's
Hill.
true. We've also done a lot of playing Silent Hill background music in the background while working because I put it on all the time. So Ryan has been inundated with Silent Hill. and
I've
is now-
been near the hill.
You
I have
been.
not climbed it
That's
until
true.
this day.
That's true.
I'm bloobing my way up Silent Hill.
You are. You're blooming up that hill.
That's what you say on as the tagline for
Yes.
the game. But I wonder if they use the term bloobing around the studio. I highly doubt it. I highly
That'd be
doubt
sweet
it.
if they did.
They would hate if
the
this
fact
caught on.
that you didn't believe me it was called Bloober Studios was very funny.
Of course, it's an insane name. It's an
great.
insane name for an insane company. Why don't they make pachinko games? I don't know.
I don't know.
But as a general game, I am stuck right now because I'm having a lovely time. But I know my opinion of my time can change drastically at the end of it.
I know, and that's where we're both at. Right now,
I'm
we're
gonna
having
say
a great time.
simultaneously, this game is a 6 as a general game and a 9 as a general game.
know, it depends.
And I don't know where we're going. I can't tell you. I don't know.
I can't tell him.
How bloobed am I going to be?
I don't know.
So I'm going to, I guess I will split the difference and say a 7.5. Just right in the middle
Yeah,
between
right in the middle.
6 and 9.
That makes sense to me.
With the ability to change it once we actually know what the hell is going on.
All right, do we want to get into spoilies after this?
I think it is time to get into
so
spoilers.
we'll do a commercial and then spoilies.
I love it.
Okay.
Welcome back. It's time for spoilies.
Spoilies.
Post-commercial spoilies.
If you are interested in Silent Hill but you have not played it yet, please leave. Do not listen to more. You got to have your own Silent Hill experience.
Yes, or if you are very unsure about playing Silent Hill, keep listening.
That's true.
And you'll find out what's going on. Otherwise, leave and come back.
Yeah.
Leave and come back.
You could do both.
We are currently, all I'm going to say is we are in the prison.
That's correct. That's a great way to put it. That's where we're at.
Get out
I
of
don't
here.
remember how far in the game it is.
It's like 13 hours for us. I
Yeah.
guarantee you for anybody else it'll be like 7.
I know. We take our time. We're having, see, we don't just play video games like, I'm playing the game. We like talk like we are playing the game and in it, and we have to have conversations.
Yeah.
We make our own game on top of a game.
We'll also acknowledge in this review, we're assuming the prison is halfway. It could be 5 minutes to
We
the end of the
don't
game.
know.
Or we could have 45 more hours.
It's true.
This is a real Baldur's Gate 3. How long is Act 3? When do we get to the gate scenario?
Yeah, and it's interesting because like I love Silent Hill 2 and I've played it through 2 or 3 times. But the thing is that it's been more than a decade.
HD
Like,
remaster? Or
I played
OG,
the PlayStation one. Yeah, the OG one.
PlayStation.
The PlayStation. I mean, that's
PlayStation, Bloober.
PlayStation one. So I played the PlayStation one and I played the HD remake. I played both because the HD remake also has DLC in it. Which I'm also
Ooh.
curious if the current game is going to put any of the DLC info in this game, which I don't know yet either.
Okay.
But regardless, it's been so long that I've played it, I can't remember how close the prison is to the end, because it's almost like the game has tent poles in my brain of like what I really enjoyed and what really stuck with me. Because I found the game very haunting and that it stuck with me for a long time. But it's like one of those, as you get further away from something, it's like only specific scenes or like,
more fragmented.
Exactly.
The impression of it.
Yeah.
So having had the impression before and having gone to play this new Bloober game now, how do you feel in a fully spoilery way? It's all open up now. What do you see as the big differences between this and the OG? And what do you think stands out as similar?
Yeah, I think a huge difference. It's interesting, to see the game in super modern gaming high def versus the original. It's really,
I mean, gross, but like, well done.
It's really well done and it's really beautiful. But I think there's something in those like old school original PlayStation era games that it's so janky that you almost have to use your imagination more. And I think there's something extra spooky about that. Like reading a book versus watching a movie. I find old video games in their jankiness, you have to use so much imagination. Yes.
Got it.
They're the book because there's stuff that they're implying but can't actually show you specifically because they don't have the technology or it's just kind of janky. Whereas now it's like, oh, this thing is actually creepy because it's a creepy thing that you see in high def and high detail. So there's something about that changes the vibe in general.
Yeah, were there more kinds of monsters in the OG Silent Hill, or was it just this guy barfs in BDSM, these are legs attached to legs, this is a nurse?
Yeah, I think it really was only that.
There were 3 enemies.
There were just, I think, like, even the BDSM versus normal barfos, I think there's just one barfo.
Oh, yeah, we call the barfing things barfos, or occasionally Borfo the Clown.
Yeah.
Borfo's here.
What is the one on the floor? Is it like...
Oh, I call him the groundskeeper?
The groundskeeper,
Anytime one of the barfing things lays down, I'm like, the groundskeeper's coming.
Yes.
Because he's on the ground and he's keeping me.
That makes sense. We nicknamed literally everything. Every time you pick up ammo in this game, we have a name for each of them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Based on the bird.
Man, we're going to go on a deep dive for this, but if you want to know what it's like to play Silent Hill with us, the handgun ammo has a penguin logo on it.
Yes.
And I introduced Dell to Benedict Cumberbatch, got made fun of on the Graham Norton show because Benedict Cumberbatch voiced over a documentary that included penguins, and he mispronounced the word penguins for pretty much the whole movie.
Yep.
It really sounds like that he called them pingwings. And then there's the pingwing traveling through. And you don't know how it made it to the edit.
No.
There are so many people between him and this product, and they still let him say pingwing and put it in the movie.
Yes.
So every time Del picks up handgun ammo from me sitting beside her, I go, pingwing.
Yeah, it's like a
it's a
audio
pop-up
clip
press.
that comes up. Yeah.
And then juice. Juice is the small bottle of everything. So if you're playing at home,
health juice,
pingwing juice. Syringes are drugs.
Yeah, he needs his drugs.
Do we have anything for shotgun ammo? I don't know if we have that one.
No, I think it's a crow, but you just say shotgun.
Oh, yeah, I do say shotgun because I do. The shotgun is so satisfying once you get it.
It's very satisfying.
It makes me laugh every time, which is how I know it's good because
it's very,
that's
very
the same reaction
satisfying.
I have in like horror movies when there's a really good kill.
Yeah, yeah.
And someone else watching something. So Dell is the one playing. Mm-hmm. I am observing. I am navigating.
Navigating big time.
And I am often asking Dell what James would do because she is James.
Yes. Yes. And I'm American.
So American. Bursting through doors, shooting everyone in the face and leaving people behind.
Yes.
Classic American problems.
Yes. But I would say that is the big difference between the original one versus the 2024 is the 2024 feels much more action survival
it's very
horror.
violent.
You have to fight. The original one has some fighting, but I always remember it being more like dodge and weave. You only have 3 bullets. Run away forever. And I constantly have Ryan in my ear going, Del, you can't run away. That's not the game. It's not the game anymore.
Yeah, because you run away and then you don't know where the monster is, but it's coming for you, and then it bursts through a door and eats you.
A line of monsters following me.
You have died by conga line a couple times.
Yes. So I would say that's the biggest difference between the two games is I would say there's more of just an exploration, run, chase feeling in the original one.
Horror game.
Yes, traditional survival horror in that way. And then this one has a lot more of an action bent to it. It has that kind of Resident Evil 4 Leon Kennedy vibe to it. But I also would say if you want to tell us spoilers from your end of like what is the game and story so far? What is the game about?
This game is, and I mean this in the most loving way, one of the craziest fucking things I've ever experienced. I have no idea what is going to happen at any time, and I have yelled, "What is happening?" So almost every cutscene.
Yes.
Almost every cutscene I have
so
seen.
fun. It's so fun.
It sounds like I hate it, but I love it.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue sounding like I hate it, though.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, we play a mentally ill man named James. Who is standing in a parking lot saying his wife died 3 years ago, but he received a letter from his wife that said to go to Silent Hill. And I'm like, okay, that's a pretty good horror
That's
opener.
an opening, yeah.
James is sad. He wants to go to Silent Hill.
Yep.
They had places that apparently were emotionally significant to them there that she refers to directly in the letter. She doesn't say where they were, but she says that happens.
Yeah.
And then she's gone. We don't even hear her voice, but we go down this hill, and it's very foggy.
Yeah.
It should be called Fog Hill, as far as I can tell. Honestly, this place should be called, and I mean this, Foggy Valley, not Silent Hill. It's very loud a lot of the time.
That's true.
Horns go off all a bunch. And it's not at the top of anything. Every path we've taken has led us further down.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Foggy Valley. But you end up in a cemetery where James immediately establishes that he is definitely a man because he walks up and touches a random woman's shoulder who hasn't seen him yet and just startles the shit out of her. And we're like, this says a lot about who James is as a person.
That's true.
There's a woman. She doesn't know I'm here. I better touch her. That's going to really relax her in
He's
this
American.
weird cemetery.
It's our culture.
Dell's taking a lot of ownership of James over the course of this adventure. And then she says that she lost her mom or whatever. And she thinks her mom is in Silent Hill, if I'm remembering correctly. And he's like, oh, okay, bye, and just fucks off into Silent Hill. And he acts like his dead wife is a secret. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I will give the game this. I'm like, it seems pretty insane to be like, my wife died 3 years ago. I was there. I buried her, presumably. I got a letter this week. I'm here. And then to go to a cemetery, startle a woman and be like, as I started saying constantly whenever something psychotic would happen in town, I received a letter from my dead wife. I've just been saying.
That excuses everything.
Stomping a pair of legs down in with a hammer grunting. So James walks away from the cemetery and ends up in town where everything is awful, collapsing, ruined, covered in fog. It seems like everyone's died and there's gore all over the place. And he doesn't say a word. James has presumably been in this town before, but it says in the letter that he was there with her and he has their favorite place. And as far as I can tell, this is the town James must have gone to, because he doesn't comment on the town being worse. No. So I'm like, oh, you met your wife in foggy hellscape and you left. Good call. I'm like, okay, well, I guess if you believe monsters are on the world, then okay, you're back in town. Then a pair of legs stitched on top of another pair of legs with no body or head bursts out, and James brutally murders it with a 2x4 with nails in it. And then a bunch of these, again, Borfos, but they're just armless torsos covered in stitching with a giant mouth their full length, start barfing acid on everything. Yep. And he starts stomping them to death, too. And your option is quiet breathing or... And then he's just back to walking. Yeah. And he says fucking nothing. We've watched, monsters are on the world. Fine. Helltown, fine. James has killed, within a half hour, 35 living beings. Admittedly, their legs stitched together in Borfos. But, I was like, what the fuck is going on with this guy? Is he special forces? Why does he resort to murder immediately? And Dell's argument is he's American.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So he's killing his way through town, just going to random places with monsters. At this point, I'm like, is he dead? He's got to be dead. Or he's insane. Or this is a normal town, and he's just murdering so many people that are showing up.
Oh, they're monsters.
He's uninjured. He just sees regular people walking around, and he's just stomping them. So, groundskeepers are like dogs, and the Borfos are just regular people. And hey, man, are you okay? It's just him stomping them. He finds a random jukebox. He's going on fetch quests through The Last of Us.
It's true.
And then you run into... He has these cutscenes where he runs into... He sees a little girl running around, and he just doesn't care about that. And then he's like, how do I know where my wife liked? And I'm like, you suck, man. You don't even know?
Hashtag husband goals.
Yeah, My wife and I had a lovely...
I made it to the town. What else does she want from me?
Yeah, is this the town? Like, I remember it being slightly better than this. Or exactly... She's from here? Jesus Christ, who are you dating? Satan? So he's looking for his wife, Mary, which thoroughly confused me because the only... They
only
put a quote
tagline...
including Maria in it.
Yes.
And I was like, when do we meet Maria? His wife's name is Mary. Is this a typo? And Del kept telling me I had to wait.
Yeah, I had to wait.
Then we met a teenager named Eddie, and we immediately, despite the fact we were surrounded by monsters, and he's about 17, he's just sitting in a room very scared, and we're like, I gotta go. Like, James refused to say why he's here. He refuses to explain anything to anyone, and he never asks a question. He's the most terminally incurious man I have ever seen in a scenario like this from the outside. He's just like, oh, you're also here. I'm going to leave now. I'm here because of this. Yeah, I'm looking for my wife. I got to go. And you show me some old clips, so it makes more sense when it's like a weird, nerdy voiceover.
We
and you realize
the OG clips,
this is an English translation of a Japanese game, so culturally it's very different in terms of what you would expect. But Piss Boy James is just walking around, and he abandons this teenager. He finds another teenager who's also having like a mental health crisis. From the graveyard lady comes back, and she's like got a knife, and he walks into a room and sees her, and he's like, "Don't kill yourself." And it was like, what the fuck is going on? And I was like, oh, he's psychic. I didn't know as a person watching the scene, but
if women are holding knives, there's only one answer.
She was just lying down. Why didn't he just touch her like he normally did? Walk up and tap her on the shoulder and make her scared, like James does when he sees a woman. He didn't do that to Eddie, but he sure does that to her a lot.
That's true.
Then he took a knife away from her and told her she had to live. And I was very bothered and still am bothered by the fact that the knife is not a usable weapon.
No, it's just a fancy pocket item. It's not actually a weapon.
We're running around with a 2x4. We have a kitchen knife, and we're like, well, I got to keep that for later. What if that mentally ill girl wants it back so she can have a crisis? We can't mess it up. Yeah. We got to keep this for her. Then we're wandering. Then we find Maria. We finally get like, oh, the wife is on the pier or whatever. Yeah. We battle through a bunch of buildings to find like magic keys that unlock everything because it's a combination of what seems to be an open world, but there really is only one path to where you want to go and no other paths. A bunch of mazes reward.
To find one door to be opened to continue on the one path. Yes.
Yeah, and most of the puzzle design is pretty solid, but some of them it's like, oh well, you had to put one piece on the clock and turn it to here, otherwise you could never leave the building. What the fuck is that?
It's unanticipated. Yes.
That feels very 2002 or whatever. Yeah. Or is it very Bloober? I don't know. It's Bloobin time. So we found this lady. This is the craziest scene in this whole game, in my opinion. Before and after this, I'm like, okay, a crazy man is wandering through the woods. But James shows up on the waterfront after he walks through a park or whatever and stomps every Borfo he sees and murders every groundskeeper, and he ends up here. And he runs into a lady who's like, hi, my name's Maria. And she looks exactly like his dead wife. Yeah. Only she has a different haircut. Yeah. And is dressed more like a modern woman, which I assume in like 2004 meant just like a sluttier version.
Yeah, I had to discuss that. There was also a outfit change from her original version.
What was the OG version?
The OG version is shown as a Easter egg because it's the outfit she holds up in a hotel room.
In this one?
In this one.
Okay.
And so the original one is just a little mini skirt and a short crop top showing her tummy, which... What was the actress? The outfit?
Christina Aguilera?
It was Christina, yes. It was like almost exactly like Christina Aguilera had worn that year when it came out.
Okay, so she was dressed super cool.
Yes.
And she had, her walk is all butt, and you have to follow this lady around. Butt. But during this scene, he shows up. She looks exactly like his dead wife and sounds exactly like his dead wife, but like cooler and more sexy.
Yeah.
She's got a tattoo, and she's like, her name is Maria.
Yeah.
And he does not ask a single question about this. He doesn't comment on them. Like, other than acknowledging it, he then just tries to leave. Yep. Immediately, he's like, I'll go. And I'm like, you found a woman named Maria who looks exactly like your dead wife, and your first thought is, I gotta leave. Who is this man? Does he even want to find his wife? I don't know shit. Then she's like, let's go to the place I know where Mary liked to be. And I'm like, who the fuck? How? He doesn't answer. He doesn't ask a single question.
The most uncurious man.
Yeah. He knows all. He sees all. He knows when someone's suicidal. He knows when Eddie will be fine, I guess, the guy you leave behind. Yeah.
But it's because he's like, I'm looking for my wife, Mary. And she's like, my name's Maria. And he's like, guess it's not you. Bye.
And then she says, I'll show you to this place, and promptly follows you for about 2 hours. She doesn't point a single direction. You can go the wrong way a lot.
Yeah, we do that.
And we do. And she does not help.
No.
And then, so we follow Maria for a while, and we like steal some stuff, and she flirts, and she's like, "Stop pointing your spotlight in my eyes." And then we got a pipe, which was a big upgrade from the wooden
barricaded
board.
the wooden board with a fence to escape monsters.
And we got a gun
got a pipe
from, I think, a hospital. A classic place they have a gun.
That's true.
And ammo is everywhere. Whoever was in Silent Hill previously,
it's just left little presents.
The least responsible gun owners I've ever seen. But not only do they leave 3 bullets lying around, they leave them lying around in boxes.
Yes.
So it's really just somebody's extras.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who didn't make
they
it through Silent Hill.
Most of it.
That's where all the Borfos came from.
That's true. They're the guys who didn't make it.
The crazy thing is that the Borfos don't have arms and the other monsters are made of legs. Because if the Borfos didn't have legs, I'd be like, well, that's where the legs came from.
No.
Where are all the legs coming from? And why don't I see enough torsos?
These are great questions, right?
So Maria takes us to a strip club for there. And she's like, haha. And he's like, is this the place that was important to her? And she's like, nah, I'm just fucking with you. I thought it'd be funny if you thought it was a strip club. We got to keep walking. Use that door.
Well, Maria's very like, haha, it's a joke, unless. And James is like, let's go. And she's like, oh.
She keeps trying to bone down with James.
Yeah.
It's true. There's something going on.
There's nothing behind
That's
those
not
eyes.
Mary. He's ready to leave.
Yep.
He says he moves on from everybody.
He's wife-pilled. He's only looking for the wife.
Yeah,
he can't see anyone else.
Big wife guy energy. In the very problematic way of a lot of wife guys.
Exactly.
He then follows her to a hospital where she's like, oh, cool, an abandoned hospital full of monsters. I'm going to take drugs and go to bed.
Yeah, she does.
She just decides to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Pyramid Head has shown up at one point, who I do know, but just from cosplay. I did not know who Pyramid Head was. And he's scary, I guess, and just killing monsters, but also trying to kill us.
Yep.
It's a confusing relationship. I saw him the first time we had to fight him. I was like, all right, so horror movie rules say Pyramid Head is James. That pyramid comes off and it's James underneath. And I'm willing to put some pretty solid money down that was James.
I can't say spoilies yet. We'll
the
have
little
to
girl,
spoilies after.
This is pure theory.
That's what I'm saying. I'm letting all of you know that I have not tilted my hand. I did not tell Ryan
No, that's the only way it could be
anything.
writing. I don't have a lot of clues, but I think that's it. I think the little girl who runs around is his daughter. I am fascinated to know about the other people, but I think I'm thinking he may have killed Mary. That's my guess, is he's like a shitty husband who's a murderer. And he's not over it. So this is like his weird purgatory of trying to put together what's going on. And maybe the legs are from like the strip club because he had like a stripper problem. Or maybe she was a stripper. So Maria actually was how he met Mary, was like her like club persona.
Shit.
And then she's the wife. So I'm trying to figure it out on no evidence whatsoever.
That's what's fun about
this game has given me nothing. I spend more of my time trying to figure out what's going on with James, and he's the most deadpan character in the world. And having a really modern acting take on it is so strange.
So funny.
But we get through the hospital. We see we're chasing this girl down, this like little girl trying to figure out who she is because Maria's like, it's kind of fucked up. There's a kid here and you don't care. And James is like, I received a letter from my dead wife. And then
pushes a sound bar button. His sister comes up. Yeah.
Then you bump into Eddie, who's with the little girl, the same guy you met earlier, and he's eating ice cream with his bare hands out of a tub. Because, man, this game does not like Eddie.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, I got to go. And Eddie's like, do you want to come with me? James asks Eddie. And Eddie's like last time where you left me here? And James is like, okay. And he laughs. And I was like, it's the only justified
Everyone's
James exit.
so good communicators in this game.
Oh, my God. The only where I was like, James, you're right, leave. This one's weird.
Yeah, that was awkward.
I wouldn't bring this guy. I don't know if I'd leave him to monsters, but I'd consider it.
Yeah.
Then we follow the little girl all over the map or whatever, and we fight monsters. And then we ended up in this prison that we're in, and we saw Eddie again with like a dude who'd been shot in the head, and Eddie has a gun, and he's like, I'm not a bully anymore. Where I shot him, and it was fun. And you have this whole scene ready. He's like, I'll kill you too. I'm crazy. And he's like, you got to put down the gun, Eddie. Give me the gun. He's like, I'll kill you. And then he's like, ha ha, that was a prank. I'm Eddie.
Everyone's jokers.
I'm super fun, I guess.
Yeah.
Eddie, the funny guy.
That's how you be cool.
Definitely shot that dude in the head. And now we're in a prison.
Yeah.
I can't remember where Maria is.
Oh, you don't remember what happened to Maria?
I don't remember.
Do you remember we ran through a hallway to an elevator that she was in front of us?
If you want to know how confusing this game is, I forgot I saw Maria die.
It's perfect.
Maria
it's
died,
perfect.
got killed by us in a different costume.
Yeah.
I hope James kisses himself.
I'm
excited
watching
if
it with
Pyramid
you.
Head takes the head off and it's James. I really hope James asks his first reasonable question because I have so many questions about everything that happens and James has none,
That's
which
true.
means I get no information.
Yeah, no, he's not helping you one bit. And I think that's what's fun every single cutscene. It's like holding your breath for the 2 or 3 lines of dialogue we get, and then it goes back to third person view and Ryan goes, "What?"
That-
every time.
Like again, it sounds like I hate this game. I am having a hell of a time going through this. James putting his hands in holes. James jumping down holes where he should die. James killing everything he sees.
Yes.
James stealing rampantly, which I fully support in this environment. James discovering puzzles that have been set up by, as far as I can tell, Bloober Studios. Like there's no
came into the game.
in-game reason why putting bracelets on a hand unlocks a door. Zero in-game
That's
reasons.
a good point.
Other than it's Bloobin time.
It's Bloomin' time.
And we've had a couple of puzzles where you've been like, oh yeah, this is Bloober.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. There's been a few like light puzzles and just mysterious happenings that I'm like, yes, El Bloobs is here.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll come back to discuss even more L Bloobs and give our final opinions of the first half of this game.
Yes.
What, Del? I want to ask you questions that are going to spoil things later for me.
I know.
'cause
Well, you can just ask the questions to the world, and then you
These
can't
are-
check the comments on this episode because
that's-
people will spoil it.
I will when it's done. But like,
Not now, but yes.
for comments, I'm just like, am I right about Pyramid Head? If I'm wrong, it's even more depressing. Which of my theories do you wish were correct? Is the thing I want to know from commenters. Whether or not it's going to happen or not, it's a safe thing to be able to say in the comments. But the thing I can't believe that you've told me that I know theoretically, but I have not seen it all, is how the fuck does this game have multiple endings?
Yeah, it does.
Because it feels like a rail shooter. Like it doesn't feel like we're making choices at any point. Other than at one point it was, do you open this spooky door or not? And we're James is the guy who opens doors.
We were very tortured about that. Yeah.
And we opened a door and nothing whatsoever happened. It was like, you can't go any further, but our hand was dark for a little bit.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
But I'm like, that's the only choice I can track. Everything else seems to be, we searched the whole area, we unlocked the thing, and we moved to the next space.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a different way of playing this game to complete the game.
Yeah, and that's where I know in the original game the way to get different endings.
Okay, but when we get up to
But that's what I mean is I'm not sure in this game what the specifications are or if it even has multiple endings. Maybe they decided on a canon ending for this game.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know.
Do you remember any of the choices that affected the ending before the prison in the OG game? Like, are there any that stand out to you? Because I think we talked about the goopy door as a likely thing that could affect the ending.
I don't remember a goopy door. I do remember in the OG game there is something to do with the knife from the lady that you get, the suicidal lady.
Like if you use it or you don't use it?
I think it's something to do with that, yes. Yeah.
Oh, well, we didn't use it.
Yeah, we didn't do anything with it.
What the fuck were we supposed to do?
Well,
with
that's what I mean. Like, they're very esoteric in the original game. And it's an interesting thing because the first time I played the game ever, I just played it through not knowing there were multiple endings.
Of course, that's how you should play it.
And then so to me, the ending I got the first time ever, to me,
That's
is like
the
the
ending.
canon
That is
ending.
the ending.
Yeah. And then when I played it through a second time, I looked through a bunch of stuff to get a specific ending. But they're super random and esoteric of like, make sure you pick up this random thing in this room, or make sure you walk into this room for a certain amount of time, those sorts of things.
That's like
I don't know
such
the
a-
specifics, but
Such a classic game design thing that, having worked in narrative design for so long, is a really bad idea.
Yeah.
Because it's not, if people don't know that there are multiple ends. I mean, there's the argument for like people playing through, and there's an argument
That's
for
what I
honestly
mean. I
anything.
think-
But
yeah.
like, I think the thing is, ideally, you want people to know when they are making an A-B choice between
Yes.
like, this will matter one way or the other.
Right.
You don't have to tell me when.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me how. But let me know that this matters. The door,
Yes.
spooky door full of goo in like the haunted building. I mean,
Yeah.
it was very funny that we just couldn't open it, but we tried.
Yes.
But
yes.
like what a payoff.
Oh, so funny.
Whole haunted apartment building with the spookiest door at the top. Nah, you can't open it. It sucks in there.
Yeah. But I think that maybe in general something about the Silent Hill games and even earlier game development or those types of games, these games were like pre-big internet.
Yeah.
And so you would play through the game and it was almost like word of mouth of people figuring out these mysteries or these extra little things that felt very like, oh, you don't need these to complete the whole game. You don't need these. But if you want to deep dive into more, a lot of Silent Hill especially has that kind of weird deep lore and hidden stuff that people become obsessed with and then almost have conspiracy theories about of like, why is this way and why is this that way?
Yeah.
But it makes them not accessible to like the layman unless you're going to be obsessively weird about like, I need to know everything about this.
Yeah,
game.
it's also really interesting that they did that in an era, like talking about OG Silent Hill.
Yes.
That they did that in an era where the amount of time people played a game for didn't matter. Like there weren't Steam rankings.
No,
it wasn't
that's true.
How many hours is the average player playing the game? It was just, oh, this is a team that made a thing.
Yeah.
They liked it this way and it went.
And it really was just about if the game sold or not. It wasn't about hours or length or any
when
of that.
you had your original experience and you had your first, arguably your earned ending, because after you find out there are multiples, people always play a game differently.
Yeah.
Were you satisfied?
I was very satisfied. And I think it was so, like, it's a weird thing where I enjoyed playing it so much, and so much of the stuff was just so weird that it felt haunting afterwards, and I couldn't stop going online to look at, try and figure out more about it. Because I didn't play it 2001 when it first came out. I think I was 15 or 16 then. But I played it a few years after that because it became a greatest hits for PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
So I think I played it when it was the greatest hits version a few years later. But I remember just like obsessively wanting to know more because it just was so weird and haunting.
It's a very, very vibe centric,
Yes.
especially with like the upgraded visuals.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
so
a real
like
creepy
even
looking game. Like it's and in a good way. Like I like how this game looks.
Yeah, and the way that it sounds and just all
Sounds
of the
great.
stuff
Weapons look cool.
Yeah.
You were saying, so I think that the one thing that we did that makes a huge difference that we would highly recommend to anybody else who's playing this game at home is turn on the X notification that pops up when there is something you can interact with. Because trying to wander through this world without knowing the things you can interact with and the things that you can't would be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
I bet it would strongly influence your ending. If it's interacting with different things, you had that turned off. It's just
if it was
how much time do you
invisible to you.
randomly click stuff.
Yeah, and that's something that's really great about the 2024 edition in general is just the accessibility options that Bloober put in
There were
this
a
is
ton.
amazing. Like, great job for Bloober on that, like, making a game like this that might be really difficult for some people to play really accessible by having a lot of options for visuals changes and things like that.
And I think there's only been one mission that was kind of a grind for us.
Yes.
And you'd looked at like other people's experiences. If you go, so basically in this, you go through the hospital.
Yeah.
And you battle your way through this whole 3-story hospital and you search all the rooms and you find everything, you get to the end. And then you go into like the hell world of Silent Hill that still has not been explained, where there are air raid sirens, more fog, and everything looks worse. Where it goes from like The Last of Us to hell.
Yes.
And then back to The Last of Us.
Right.
But then you have to do the entire hospital again, all 3 floors in hell.
Yes.
And it's the same layout, and it's a reskin of the same zone that really feels like a stretch of gameplay more than anything else.
Yeah.
And then you get out of there. And I think this is a good game, I will say, to play and take breaks in.
I was just going to say the same thing because we really hit a wall with it, and I started getting frustrated after we played it for. We've mostly been playing it like 1 to 3 hours at a time.
Yeah.
And then we had one day when Tyler was over and we fucking
like
burnt it
9
down.
hours
Yeah,
or
9
something.
hours. And by the end, I was like, I can't look at it. I'm frazzled and can't look at anything anymore because of the way that the monster gameplay and the jump scares are. You're just having to be constantly vigilant playing it.
Move slowly,
You cannot
move
casually
carefully.
play this game.
Unless
So-
you're really good. We're probably just not good at the combat versions of things.
But it became a slog, especially looking at same hallways, same doors, same all that over and over, same monsters. It was just like, get us out of here.
Well, and then you strategically figured how to kill the monsters, but doing it safely means you have to do it carefully,
And
which takes
takes
more
time,
time.
yeah.
So it means you can get to the point where you want to just move the game faster,
Yeah.
and you can get
And
yourself
then
die.
I get curb stomped.
Or you get stressed and die.
Yeah.
The other thing I think is because, I mean, we found some really good humor in this just in ourselves
absolutely.
between Borfo the Clown. It's very added in from the outside. This game is meant to be played, as far as I can tell, with a room full of people making jokes.
Yeah. Or even I'm
It feels
excited.
Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah,
with the
I'm
plot.
excited that people are streaming it a lot because I also think that's a great way to experience it, of like the
yes.
jump scares, but able to chat with people. Like the original game, I played in a hole by myself being scared.
Yeah.
So it was a much different experience than having a partner where you can help each other and make jokes and kind of
Well,
get
and the
through
camera's
slog.
very different, you were saying, in this
Yeah.
compared to the original game.
Yeah, the original game is definitely kind of just a free-floating camera stuck in corners or ceilings that just kind of floats along beside you.
You don't
it's
have
not
control over
over
it.
shoulder, yeah, and it's not an over the shoulder like. There's definitely some. But that adds to some of the mystique of it, because instead of being this camera that's attached to the corner of your shoulder, you would walk into a room and it would be like a camera way in the corner. And you're like, where am I on this map? Oh, there I am in the corner, and kind of walk through a section of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really neat. I like the radio mechanic.
Yeah.
And
that's
I like how it's
original
been
to
dealt
it,
with, which is like, the radio showing, like the radio crackling when monsters are near
Yeah.
is an interesting idea. But I will admit, they drive me fucking crazy sometimes. But like the leg monsters not triggering the radio until they move is
Yeah.
really cool as a way to keep some kind
scary.
of spookiness.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that stands out to me as like a repetitive game design that I've seen is the lights flicker the first time the legs move every time. And it got us really well for the jump scare the first couple of times until it
Absolutely.
was just like, oh, legs are moving. We could actually see the lights flicker and not see legs and be like, fuck, they're behind
There's
us.
legs. There's legs in here. Yeah. Yeah.
They're moving.
Yeah, but I do think it's great because there's a cool jump scare mechanic to that. But also, if you happen to spot legs before they jump scare you, it's just as scary to be like, oh shit, they're leaning against a wall right next
I
to
got
us.
to put a bullet before I move.
Yeah.
Come on, shoot
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's been great. The nurses are super creepy. Mm-hmm. The answer to nurses is just a shotgun. We
Shotgun.
haven't figured out the pattern to kill the nurses.
I'm terrible
I'll
at
say
it.
right now, anybody in the comments, if you've got tips for how we can kill nurses more easily in this game, because it's
Help us
dealt with a
finish it.
pipe being murdered, is how I
Yeah,
would describe the average
absolutely.
fight with a nurse.
Yeah.
It's
And
either shotgun them by wandering up, being like, "Miss, I need some help in my room,"
Yeah.
and then Dell opens fire, and I cackle maniacally.
It's very fun. But I think that's another thing that's a little tough in the game is it really is there's one melee button, there's aim and shoot, there's one dodge button. So there's not
you
a
said
lot
melee is right by the button that spins you around completely,
That's
right?
correct.
So you keep spinning around accidentally
Yeah.
in combat. Or
Well,
getting excited and turning off your flashlight and fighting blind.
No, that's what I do. I pretty much start shooting, then start meleeing and turning 360 and turning my light off and on. So I make my own jump scares playing this game.
Dell fights on her own expert difficulty by turning the lights out and fighting blind.
Yes, yes. But it takes some getting used to because everything is so very simple. And that's very much like the original game. But it's interesting to be playing a modern game with mechanics that feel very old school push a button hit thing.
Yeah. The controls are ancient, but
Yeah.
everything else feels as current as anything I've played.
Absolutely.
Like it looks
Yeah.
great. It moves great.
Mm-hmm.
The way the performances are done. I wish it was cheesier and dumber and older Silent Hill 2 style, because I got shown the graveyard early opening for
Yeah.
the original game, and I was like, oh, this guy sounds like a fucking dork. I love dork James wandering through. Like, I'm looking
Absolutely.
for my dead wife, and
Yeah, it's
Oh.
a way different vibe than 2024 James. And we definitely
I've
will
got a
have
letter
to
from my dead wife.
Yeah, we'll have to watch through all the OG cutscenes after
Yep.
we finish the game as well to do that comparison.
And we will have to find out if there are multiple endings, if there are,
Yeah.
watch them all. Because
Absolutely.
I have also played games where, universally for me, what I've discovered is if there is a version where there are multiple endings, I always get the least satisfying one.
Oh,
Every time. And
no.
then I find out there's multiples, and I have to go back and play through to an ending that will let me sleep at night.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what we end up getting
Yeah,
even
I don't
from
know.
this version.
I have to ask, Del, now that Maria is dead,
Yeah.
is there a way Maria does not die in this game, or does Maria always eat it in that cutscene? Are you aware?
I'm not aware. I'm assuming that cutscene is that cutscene and there's nothing we can do about that. But
I'm assuming so too.
Yeah.
Comments, let us know.
there we
Does
go.
Maria always bite it in a hallway running and get killed by Pyramid Head, or did we just fuck up the quick times and now we're committed to a plot line, not realizing we could have saved? Is this like Baldur's Gate if we weren't aware we could save Scum?
Oh no.
We're like, oh no, Maria could still be with us. We could have a daughter now.
Oh my god.
Eddie could be our friend.
Yeah. But no, I'm very intrigued to see how it all pans out and how it compares to the original once we get through to the end, and what you think about it after we get to the end.
I
of
am
it.
very intrigued by that whole thing. I'm
Yeah.
also excited by the prison that we are now entering.
Yeah.
It feels like it has
Cool puzzles.
like the deepest lore.
Yeah.
The stuff we were finding out about this prison, the other stuff has all been kind of like, oh, there's a hospital and everyone's crazy.
Yeah,
and
just the
maybe
town
we
in
haven't
general.
found the thing that would let me, after reading all the letters, cue it up together.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, this chapel in this prison. Oh, the lighting system that you can flick on that's timed. There's just a bunch of stuff that I'm like, oh, this is excellent
Good.
horror craft.
Hell yeah.
And I wanted to explore more of this Cthulhu-esque town. So
Well, thank you so much for going on a Silent Hill journey with me. I've been so happy to introduce you to it and get to experience it alongside you.
Oh, and I'm very pleased to have had this experience. I'm delighted to have had it. I'm very happy to help you navigate and know when to go right or left to make sure you know where
Thank
you're
God,
going.
because I can't navigate in real life or in video games. I'm direction blind forever. So it's just reality.
Just like James.
Just like James.
Where is his favorite place? I don't know.
We don't know. He doesn't remember. I don't remember.
Where do I think his favorite place with? I think they own a home in this town.
Oh.
I think that the meaningful place is actually their house.
He just forgot it.
Oh my God! If this game ends with James back, like escaping town and ending up back near his car in exactly the same shot at the end, with him staring into the valley and then being like, "I received a letter from my dead wife," I'm gonna fucking lose it. I'm going to fucking lose it so hard if this is just he goes through purgatory again and again in his own personal hell. Don't fucking do this to me, Dale. I do not need this. Bloober Studios, if you fucking end in the same way you start, I'm going to be so mad. So that's the ending I'm going to get, isn't it? That's the ending. There's going to be multiple endings. I'm going to get the one thing I don't
You're
want.
going to get the bad ending.
We're going to watch all the others.
Bloober's like, let's write in a least satisfied ending for Ryan.
Yeah.
They put underneath it.
It's like when I played Detroit Becoming Human, and then my fucking guy just ate it in the final battle and didn't get to the end. They were like, oh, the game's over. You died. And I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Oh, no.
I failed at running? I hate this.
Oh, we have more games. More games to have you play. This is the answer. This is my knowledge
Give
now.
me things that are good.
I am the purgatory that will make you play video games.
And then we'll come back to Silent Hill 2 at the end, and I'll be right here asking the same questions, not knowing that you have been leading me through my own purgatory.
Yes, come on, Ryan.
The next
You
episode
need
we
this.
record of this will be you with a pyramid head.
What do you think now, Ryan?
Incredible.
Yeah.
So this is our review of the first half of Silent Hill 2.
Yeah, that's right.
Or 90% of Silent Hill 2 or 20% of Silent Hill 2.
We go and we play 10 more minutes. We're like, oh, it's over. Then we'll talk about it for another hour.
Wow, this prison was kind of dumb. All right, we were done. That was the final boss.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Thank you for introducing me to this game.
Thanks for coming along.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this conversation. We hope you are enjoying your own playthroughs of Silent Hill 2. Or trying it for the first time, or this has got you excited about the game because honestly, we're having a pretty good time with it.
Oh, man. So much fun.
Play with a friend.
Yeah.
Or a group of friends, or stream it, or find a streamer because it's a delightful time all around.
Exactly.
Highly,
Any of those
highly
options will get you a good time.
If this is what Bloobin' time is, I'm here for the bloobs.
Or maybe we'll bloop some more.
Bloob it up.
Hell yeah.
So you can support us in all the ways it'll say in the outro, but we got the Patreon, obviously. If you've got answers to any of our questions or want to pose a question we have not thought of about Silent Hill 2
true.
because I forgot Maria died.
I know, but we'll have to wait and check them when we're done.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Drop that in the comments. Otherwise, you can find us on social at DumDumDice. So we love you all. May you
you.
all, I think based on the gameplay experience, ignore the letter you received from your dead wife. Just
if that happens,
let it go.
Yeah.
She's dead.
Don't look into that
No,
more.
that's it. This is not a pet cemetery. Don't believe the letter.
Sometimes dead is better.
Sometimes dead is better.
Yeah.
That's my tagline. For
That's our
Silent Hill 2.
takeaway for this episode.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Nerd News.
Bye.
Meh. Thanks for tuning in to Nerd News. This series is produced by Dum Dums and Dice, edited by Ryan LaPlante, and our audio is mixed by Laura Hamstra. You can follow us on any social media platform at DumDumDice. Support us on our Patreon at patreon.com/DumDumDice, or buy cool merch from our website, dumdumdice.com. Thanks for joining us and stay nerdy. Dum Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christopher Little, George Dolby, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, Schrodinger's Pepper, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Mithrian, Garbo Ape, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine, Dagger Rain, Rob L., Dia de los Hoodless,
Squishy Werewolf, Remy Funky Head,
Accent Therapeutic Services in Florence, Kentucky,
Lael,
Shulzari,
The Long Family,
Jordan Oliver,
Richard Wright,
Brittany Fenwick,
Alex Parr,
Dragonfly,
The Body Barrelers,
Megan Werner,
A Man Out of Time,
Curtis at FingerTechRobotics.com, Panda24NN, Shendra D, Your Homeboy Bones, Ellis Hatch, Odigenous, Beef Not Cheese, Kai Koa, Squire Solaire, Sandy Sassy Pants, Adam, Amira Lockhart, James Molina, Nick Hemsing,
and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.